Modern self-improvement tries to think you out of a biological survival response, and here's the body first fix in 7 days. So you're not exhausted because you're busy. You're exhausted because you're at war with yourself, not with your to-do list, not with your kids, not with your partner, not even with your busy season, with you, with the parts that you've buried, hidden, and are too ashamed to acknowledge. And before you start clutching your crystals or your CBT workbook or both, let me say this clearly. The way that you feel dictates your results always. So if you feel like you're constantly pushing a boulder uphill, it doesn't matter how many planners you buy, how many high performance habits you track, or how many seminars you attend where a man with a headset tells you to step into your power. If your nervous system is running on empty, your results are going to match it. And here's the polite version of what's happening right now. So modern self-help improvement is often just repackaged psychologically without the bite. It's mutton dressed up as lamb. It's great for somebody without trauma who just needs a little bit of a boost, but for somebody who's actually struggling, it can be seriously overwhelming and detrimental because it teaches you to think your way out of a biological mess, to manifest, to affirm, to raise your vibration, while your body sat there like, babe, I can't even digest my lunch properly because I'm in survival mode, but sure, let's visualize abundance for the millionth time. And don't get me started on imposter syndrome. Like, I called that fakery out so publicly, OK Magazine featured me for it. And here's the truth. People with vested interest will not tell you. Most of the time, it is just anxiety repackaged to make a few quid. New label, same nervous system, but shush. Because fancy new names for stuff is a great way to make a killing in royalties. And here's something that nobody else wants to admit. You can build a whole life around avoiding the parts of you that feel unacceptable. You can become the reliable one, the strong one, the funny one, the productive one, the I'm fine one. And you can still feel lonely, depressed, lost, and weirdly hollow because it takes a ridiculous amount of energy to maintain a curated identity while you're actively suppressing the rest. And that's the tax, not the workload, not the kids, not the emails, the internal war. And it can show up like people pleasing, then resenting everyone, signing up for a 12-week course and doing 2 weeks, then life got busy, or a shelf full of self-help books that you could use as a weapon, journals full of surface level analysis about why everybody else is responsible. Shiny object syndrome, new coach, new method, new quiz, new label, or I'm healed when you've actually glossed over the real stuff. And if you're in restore mode, you're especially good at this. You can intellectualize your pain into a TED talk, you can diagnose your patterns like you do in a case study, but you still feel stuck. Because insight without integration is just entertainment. And when somebody says the world is against me, that's not a feeling, it's a belief. And beliefs are usually old emotional experiences dressed up as current reality. Your brain is basically doing, this feels like then, so it must be now. But you're not 5 anymore. You're not helpless anymore. You're just running an old program. And the first question isn't, how do I fix myself? It's, are you willing to consider that healing is even possible for you? Because if you're listening to this, you haven't given up. People who've truly given up don't Google this stuff. They don't listen to podcasts. They don't buy courses. They isolate. They disappear. So if you're here, you're asking for help, even if you're doing it in the most high-functioning, socially acceptable way possible. And let me show you what war with yourself looked like for me. So mid-December 2017, I'm sat in my basement office, wrapped in my dressing gown, electric heater on full blast, staring blankly at my computer. I'm meant to write another blog post, but I've got nothing. Just that stupid blinking cursor taunting me. And let me tell you, those skinless cats stroked by all the James Bond baddies, they have nothing on that blank page syndrome. And even worse than that, I felt utterly disingenuous because on paper I looked successful. Huge email list with mass open rates, tens of thousands of followers, featured in magazines, podcast appearances, and yet tumbleweed when a sales post went out. Meanwhile, real life kicked in. Credit cards maxed out, loans calling in their debts, bank balance at sub-zero, computer on the brink of collapse, and me worrying about how I'd do Christmas. And here's the kicker, which I'm not gonna ever say because one, I'm not AI, and two, I hate that phrase. It literally makes my skin crawls. But I have absolutely no idea how I was feeling back then because I was purposely ignoring what was going on with my body. Full-blown avoidance because I knew it wouldn't hesitate to tell me just how far down the anxiety spiral I'd fallen. But my body was screaming anyway. Peak clumsiness, bruises everywhere from walking into tables, cupboards and open doors, falling down the stairs, finding myself putting the kettle in the fridge, the milk in the cupboard and the brand new washing up gloves in the bin for safekeeping. Endlessly walking into rooms with no idea why I was there. Spoiler alert, that's not stress, that's your nervous system waving a giant red flag while your mind goes, I'm fine. And if you've ever seen that meme with the dog on a chair drinking coffee with the entire room engulfed in flames, you'll know what I mean. Now, the decision that changed everything for me, like I wanted to throw in the towel, to walk away from it all and to get myself a proper job. But the smallest of voices, barely a whisper inside my head, said, don't make big life-changing decisions from a place of emotional turbulence. And it was the same message I gave all my clients on day one of working with me. I'd encourage them to remain in the status quo until they'd gotten to the end of the program. Because 12 weeks is really not that long in the grand scheme of how long they'd already been stuck inside their own head. So I turned off the computer and I just left the business in limbo, logged out of social media and spent the next 2 weeks just focused on enjoying Christmas and New Year as much as possible. Then, as though I was going back to work the first week in January 2018, I enrolled myself in my own therapy program. Week by week, I followed the plan. Okay, so don't get me wrong, it wasn't the same crash course my clients get because I already knew the science. I knew the why, could lean on my own beliefs and experiences as well as those of my clients. I just needed to commit, show up and do the work. And day one, I made a vow. Stop being a hypocrite. And if you've listened to some of the other podcast episodes, you'll know that I've mentioned this before. Not because I like repeating myself, but because it's that important. Like I'd done a lot of healing by this point, been on my journey a couple of decades and figured things out as I went. And I got to a point where I was okay and then I just stopped. My conscious mind kept telling me, you're fine, it's cool. And remember, I was purposely avoiding checking in with my body to see if that was true. Or if it was just my mind trying to protect me from the potential harm of digging deep. And within a few weeks, I was in a completely different headspace. Because when you do biology first, psychology second, things shift fast. And then week 7 hit, forgiveness. Like the bit I'd always glossed over, the bit I told myself that was unnecessary. And I did it anyway. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Not pain, not fallout, not harm, peace. Overwhelming peace from facing it head on and letting it go. Fully accepting who I was, where I'd been, what I'd done, what I'd experienced. And the only other time I'd felt that kind of peace was long before in 2004. And it was the moment that I decided to end my life. And that's how powerful this state was. My days looked the same on the outside, but I showed up like I'd shed 100 pounds. And within 5 days, 3 people contacted me out of the blue in a 24-hour period, asking for my help and wanting to pay in full. Despite me taking a complete hiatus from my business, call it coincidence, call it energy, call it nervous system regulation, call it whatever the heck you like. Just remember, the way you feel dictates your results always. Now let me talk about triggers for a minute because this is going to help give you that aha moment that you came here for. So a trigger is a tiny little thing, kind of like the trigger on a rifle. For it to set anything off, there has to be ammunition, there has to be an explosive charge. So when you get triggered by an experience, you need to stop asking yourself, why are they doing this to me? Because that's not actually a question, it's a statement, a resentment, a resistance. And instead try this. I wonder why that hit me so hard. That's compassionate curiosity, not self-judgment. And this changes everything because now you're not outsourcing your power, you're reclaiming it. Oh, and by power, I don't mean a cute phrase thrown on a tote bag to proudly shove your shopping into. I mean your capacity to show up as you and be fully accepting of yourself, warts and all. Now, something really important, the part that you're rejecting is usually trying to protect you. And this is where the shadow stuff becomes practical. The parts that you've buried aren't evil, they're not broken, they were adaptive. Anger is a boundary that never got to exist. Neediness, a normal human need that just got shamed. Avoidance, a survival strategy that worked brilliantly once. Even your inner critic, and mine used to sound like the adults around me when I was younger. Idiot, stupid, can't do anything right, you'll never amount to anything. Now it starts with an eye roll, a heavy sigh, and a funny mashup of a swear word. What an absolute cockwomble. Or, well, you're being an utter pratwaffle today, aren't you? No judgment, just a statement, calling it as it is, before quickly moving on to the best part. So, what are you going to do about it? And that's not cruelty, that's leadership. But if your inner voice is still 7 years old, it's going to keep giving you 7-year-old advice. And here's the real rejected part, the part that nobody wants to admit. And here it is the one thing people who want an amazing life but don't have it yet reject the most. Responsibility. Not responsibility as in it was your fault. Responsibility as in if you don't take ownership of your part in shaping your reality, you can't take ownership of changing it. And before anyone screams victim blaming, pipe down and just keep listening. This isn't about past shaming and shaming what happened. It's about refusing to hand your future to your past. Yes, your mum did XYZ. Yes, your dad did that thing. Yes, your sister behaved that way. And yes, your ex probably gaslit you. So what? What are you going to do about it? Because only you can fix you. And if you keep waiting for everyone else to change so you can feel better, you're going to be waiting forever. And here's your 7-day nervous system downshift. So micro actions, not a personality transplant. And yes, I do have a phenomenal 12-week therapy program, but you don't need it to get a jump start on reharmonizing your life. I also have a really cool video vault where the same therapy program tools, techniques and tactics are available 24/7. You don't need that either. You just need 7 days of doing something different. 7 micro actions under 2 minutes, body first. So do these for 7 days. No overthinking, no analyzing, just do it. Then make sure you check in with yourself to see what's changed. Day number 1. Name the belief, not the feeling. So when you feel that familiar spiral, write one line. The belief I'm running right now is. Examples: I'm not safe, I'm going to be rejected, I'm behind, or I'm too much. Because beliefs can be updated and feelings can be regulated. Day number 2, the 90-second downshift. Set a timer for 90 seconds. Exhale longer than you inhale. That's it. Like long exhale tells your nervous system, I'm not being chased by a lion. Day number 3, the reframe. So when you notice yourself being triggered by something going on, swap out the instant, why is this happening to me, for, I wonder why this is coming up. One is a fight and one is an invitation. Allow the train of thought to go where it needs, and then you probably need to redo day 2, followed by day 1, and probably need day 2 again. Day number 4, the internal boundary script. Say this out loud. I'm not available for self-bullying today. And then follow it with, I can be disappointed and still be safe. FYI, you're not a robot, you're human. We all make mistakes, that's life. It's what you do after the mistake which defines your future, and that next step, that's on you. Day 5, the body check that you've been avoiding. So put one hand on your chest and one on your belly and ask, what's true in my body right now? Then listen and accept whatever you hear. Not your mind, not your body. Just listen. And if you get nothing, that information too. Day 6, the one next action rule. When you feel stuck, pick one next action that takes under 2 minutes. Drink water, step outside, send the email, close the tabs. It doesn't matter what it is. And those in restore mode love a grand plan, and your nervous system needs this next safe step in order to progress. Day number 7, forgiveness without the fluffy nonsense. Now, forgiveness isn't saying it was okay. It's saying I'm not carrying this in my body anymore. So write one sentence. I release the need to punish myself for. That's it. No ritual, just letting go. That's integration and acceptance, not ignorance and avoidance. True peace is not the absence of flaws. It's the end of the belief that your flaws make you unworthy. It's you no longer living in a civil war. It's you being able to feel anger without becoming it. to feel sadness without drowning in it, to feel fear without obeying it. And yes, you'll still have bad days, but you won't live there. You'll get knocked for a few minutes, a few hours, maybe a day, and then you'll come back because you'll have tools and you'll have ownership, and you'll stop outsourcing your power to your past. Because, this is because I know you're going to try and DIY this. If this is hitting a nerve and you're doing that thing where you're nodding while also thinking, yeah, but what's my pattern? What's my mode? Where am I in all of this? Take the happiness archetypes test. It's going to show you which mode you're stuck in, so you can stop guessing and start collecting labels like Pokemon. Links in the show notes below. It's free, it takes a few minutes, it gives you a 30-day action plan, and here's time to stop ignoring your nervous system and start harmonizing. Remember, the way you feel dictates your results, always.